Hey everybody, welcome to Live Coding with Jesse. I'm Jesse, and today we might not do what I said I was going to do in the title of this video. So my plan was we were just going to start completely from scratch, look up how to do this and do it. But I had a few minutes before the live stream was going to start and I couldn't really start anything big, so I thought, okay, I'll just look up some documentation on how to do this. And I realized that if we set up what we wanted to set up, which I'll explain in a minute, it might not work out because we can't use HTTPS. So we'll get into it and we'll still kind of go through the process, but we need to think about what effect this is going to have on our site and if we really want to set it up like this. So if you have no idea what I'm talking about, don't worry, I will explain everything. I'm going to give everybody a few seconds to get in here. I know I announced the stream a little bit later than normal, so in case somebody's coming in late, let me give them a minute here. Hey everyone that's here right now. Looks like the notifications did actually go out for this video. Let's see. Yeah, I think I just got one on my phone. Okay, cool. Sometimes they don't work when I start it so late. So I had a pretty long meeting earlier in the day, but it went well. So that's why I'm streaming a bit later today. And we may have a guest. We may have a guest a little bit later on. I was attempting to recruit someone to help me with this project, with some of the data work. And so she might stop by during the stream depending on how long the stream goes, and so that'll be cool. And why my face, the light on my face looks super weird. I don't know if it looks weird to everybody else, but let me turn this light down a little. Okay, I guess that's kind of better. I don't know. It's just looking weird to me. Okay, so let me switch my screen so you all can see what's happening. Nope, that's not it. This is it. Okay, and the light actually looks a bit better in this view, so that's nice. So here's what we're working on today. Let me make it bigger, hopefully. Come on, bigger. Just a little bit of lag happening. So I'll describe what it is then, since the text isn't getting bigger. So this is Google Cloud Platform Storage Bucket. And we set that up yesterday. Yeah, we set this up yesterday. We connected it to WordPress and got that working. Now what I'm in the middle of doing, there we go, finally got a little bigger. What I'm in the middle of doing is bringing over all of the files from the old site and keeping the same file structure. And in terms of files, mainly I mean images, and I mean PDFs, things like that would appear on the website. The reason being, when we brought over the markup from the old site, it still refers to a lot of these files in the same structure. So we can take advantage of that and not have to redo a lot of things by just using relative URLs in the markup, and then when they come over, when they get to the React components, we'll just prepend the URL of wherever they're at. In this case right now it's the storage bucket. So let me show you how we've done that in React. I believe it's here. Is it? Yeah, this is it. Let's make sure we're up to date. We'll do a git pull. Okay, and let's take a component where I know we've already used this technique just to show you how this is going to work. Let me think. The faculty.js page, I believe we're using this. There we go. Okay, so on the faculty.js page, we're pulling in data from WordPress with GraphQL, but then we're going through that data and we're manipulating it a bit before we actually render it to the page. So you see here, anywhere that we see a src equals, right, which is pretty much for an image, we're prepending franciscan.edu, because right now that actually works because that site is still connected to all those files, right? But when we switch over and point that URL to our new site, this isn't going to work anymore. So we're going to need to replace this with that Google storage bucket with that URL. So the idea that I thought would work was, okay, well, let's do a CNAME record and let's point it to that cloud storage bucket, and that way we'll have like a cleaner look and it'll all look like it's coming from the same place. I don't think that's going to work though. So let's check it out just to see how we would go about doing this. Let me give you, I have two examples I can show you. One is the official documentation, and the other one is just, looks like maybe a tutorial someone else did. It's a little bit dated though, but I think it shows the same point. Let's try to go through the official documentation first. If it's a little too much to go through, then we can always switch back. And let's clean up what we have going on here. And let's pull this over. Come on. There we go. Is it gonna let me put it in there? No. Oh well. So I'll just zoom in quickly on the part that we need to look at. So basically, like, right, we make the CNAME record, and then instead of having to type in this URL, we can now type in this case they use travelmaps.example.com, right, and see they can type that in and then get access to that image, right? Great, that's what I wanted. But if we look at this note, it says you can use a CNAME redirect only with HTTP, not with HTTPS. To serve your content through a custom domain over SSL, you can set up a load balancer. So it's not that it's impossible, it just requires a load balancer. So we can check it out, see how hard that's going to be. Maybe we could do that. We'll see. If it's not that hard, might be worth it. I don't know if it's worth it to go through the trouble of setting up a load balancer for this. I don't know. Let me know what you all think. I'm not sure that that's, how many people are even going to realize what URL the images are coming from, Really probably only other devs that open up DevTools. Also, let me start my timer. Now that we're going to start to get into things here, let's start that Pomodoro timer if I have it. There we go. Thought I had it. So I'm going to mainly focus on what we're doing here with this cloud storage bucket for the next 25 minutes, and then I'm going to go back to the live chat after that for about 5 minutes and answer any questions that you all put in there. So if you're asking questions in the live chat, please be patient and I will get to those. I'll keep my eye on the chat though in case anything pops up that's maybe I should address immediately. Okay. So where's our... I lost my There it is. Okay, so let's just check out this load balancing stuff. Let's see if we can do it. Realistically, I don't really know who would need a CDN that only uses HTTP. Right? I mean, everyone wants HTTP now. It just doesn't seem that useful to me anyway. So I assume if we have to use the load balancing to get HTTPS, there are going to be other people that want to do it. So, you know, this would possibly be valuable for you all, even if I don't necessarily end up going with this. Let me copy and paste this into the live chat for you all, and then that way you can check it out if you like. All right. Alright, I'm just going to skim over this at first and see if there's anything that stands out that like, oh, we shouldn't do this. Alright, so we already have a cloud storage bucket, so we don't need to create one. So we've already done all this. Let me know if I have a fan running. It's pretty warm in here, so let me know if it's too noisy and I'll turn it off. I tried to like turn it down as low as it'll go and kind of point it away so it's not blowing right on the mic, but I can't really tell with the headphones on if it's too loud. Okay, cool. So it looks like you'd create a second bucket to do the load balancing from. Looks like there was one other thing. Content base. Complete the guide for content based load balancing. Let's check out that guide as well. If I'm going through this too fast, you know, feel free to click on the link or copy and paste the link from the live chat. You can check it out a little bit slower. Is it more slowly? Is that the proper way to say that? Instead of slower? I think it's more slowly. Okay, so from what I'm seeing, when you set up the load balancer like this, basically the load balancer has a static IP address, which obviously if you have a static IP address, right, you could point the domain name to. That's what I'm assuming is what's happening. So instead of a C name, you could, I guess, make an A record, use that for your domain. I'm going to give you all a chance. Do you think we should go through creating a load balancer so that we can point a domain name and use our own domain? I don't know. Let me know. The more I think about it, the more I think maybe it's not worth the trouble at this point. So I'll give you all a minute because of the delay in the video to let me know. we for sure have a lot of other things that we could work on. So it's not like I'd end the stream. We would just maybe switch over and work with the MySQL database. So I'm getting a few answers in there. I'm going to give y'all maybe like 20 more seconds to let me know. Alright, so here's the answers that I've gotten so far. So it looks like yes, do it. Just walk us through like children and put the reference material in the description. John says there's always another way. Okay, so it looks like you all want to. I mean, I've only heard from a few people, and there's a lot more people watching. So of those who responded, it's you all want to do this. So I guess we can try it out. And let's see how we'll. Might not be a bad idea then for me to move this documentation over to another screen so that I can reference it, and then we can actually do everything here on this screen. So the first thing we'll probably do is let me switch. Let me switch over, and I'll leave this open. You see, this particular page is, since all this stuff is loading and I'm streaming at the same time, it's going to be impossible to work with this page. So what I want to do is open up another instance of Google Cloud Platform here, and I'm going to switch over to my account. Because I don't want to mess with this in case I decide not to go with this live, and also I don't want to mess up all the stuff that's being uploaded right now. And let's see. Oh, it looks like something must be wrong with freeCodeCamp.org right now, but I think they're just making some updates. So okay, yeah, so if you're having trouble getting on right now, sorry about that. I don't have anything to do with the update, so I don't know for sure, but usually when this happens, it's not too long. You know, things will go back to normal soon. And okay, we got a question about what are you uploading? I'm uploading data from the old website, or I guess the current franciscan.edu website. So a lot of the images and PDFs that are available on the website, I'm moving them over to our new storage. So like right now they're hosted on a server on campus here at the university. So we want to host them in that storage bucket that we set up yesterday. Alright, so first thing we need to do is create a bucket. So let's see what projects we have. I have so many projects I'm not even using. Let's just start a new project and create project. Let's say, I don't know, just test project. There we go. This one I'll just use for whenever I need to test something. No, I'll have a project for that. What happened? Where did it go? Oh, okay. It's going. It's creating test projects. If you'd like to follow along, I'm gonna paste the URL in there one more time for anybody that missed it. Is it there now? Awesome. Alright, so we're now on test project, and using UG Cloud. Alright, and the link that I just gave you, the first step is going to tell you to complete the guide for a content-based load balancing. So let me put the link in for that as well. So that second link I just pasted in is a link for that. If you've already gone to the first section, you could just click the link that's in there. So alright, so we need to go to the create a virtual machine instance. Alright, let's check this out. This is cool. This will be some new stuff that we haven't worked on before. Compute. I've never gone to that page before. So let me see which one this is. VM instances. There we go. It's under Compute Engine. We're going to go to VM instances, and we're going to go to Create Instance. Oops. Alright, it's getting ready. So we got the little spinner there. So while that gets ready, I'll check the chat. Oh, Anoop, thank you. I didn't see that comment, but Anoop said the VMs are found inside compute, so thank you for that. I should have just looked over immediately. Hey, Niki's here. How's it going? Guess I'll take a drink while I'm waiting. It's always important to stay hydrated, right? Oh, I've never done this before in Google Cloud. I didn't realize it would take this long. I'll check in the chat and see if there's anything else in here that I missed. Love Joneson says, can I use this to run Ubuntu on an old Mac or to run Python? I don't know. I mean, I guess if you're creating a VM, I mean, you can do what you want with it. So I never thought about doing that, but I guess it will work. So I don't know for sure if it would work, but it seems like it could. Alright, cool. So now we're ready. Now let's create the instance, and we're going to set the name to www, and we'll just keep the default zone. Let's see. Machine type, yeah, that's fine. I'll probably keep most of this stuff. Default, we need to find management, disk networking, SSH keys. There we go. and blocks. What are we looking? Okay, startup script field. So we want to insert some code into the startup script field. Let's check this code out. So apt-get update, apt-get install. Okay, so we're installing Apache, SSL, and then restarting Apache, and then echoing HTML, a very small HTML page. Okay, cool. We're going to leave everything else as default, and we will create that. Okay. Alright, cool. So that's there. Now it says to do the same thing with video. I guess I'll do it just for the sake of being consistent with the instructions. Let's do that. So let's create another instance and name this. For those of you that are joining us recently, in order to create a CNAME record, in order to create a custom domain name for our cloud bucket that actually uses HTTPS, you have to set up load balancing. So that's why we're setting up this load balancing stuff first in order to make that work. Okay, and we're gonna put in a custom startup script in here that's almost identical to the other one, but it just has some different data here in the index page. And let's create that. Now we're going to make a firewall rule to allow traffic to our VMs. So let's go to firewalls page, which, let's see, how are we going to get there? No, I saw firewall. There we go. Firewalls. Was it the right page? I don't think so. That was firewalls. I need to find firewall rules. There we go. Firewall rules. Alright. Actually, did my... Alright, I still got 5 minutes. In about 5 minutes, I'm going to go back to the live chat, answer some questions. So if you have any questions, please put them in the live chat sometime within the next 5 minutes. Okay, so here's our firewall rules page. We need to create a rule, and we're going to name it www firewall. And let's set, let's see, networks default, and our source filter, we're going to allow sources from any source. So basically, to do that, we're going to do 0.0.0.0/0. Okay. And let's set our ports, and we'll go for right now, let's do port 80 and 443. Port 80 is your normal HTTP port. Port 443 is your HTTPS port. Since we're just testing this out, I'm fine with allowing both. But in a production environment, I'd be more comfortable if I just ran port 443 and had port 80 disabled. Okay, and one more target tags here. Let's do HTTP tag. And then we're going to do HTTPS tag. Since we're doing both, we'll put both in there. And now let's create. And as soon as this spinner's done, we can go on to the next step. Yay, alright, cool. So let's go back to our VM. Oops. No, what happened? I'm gonna refresh because it just froze up. We'll go back to the menu. There we go. VM instances. Okay, external IP. Let's check this out. So we're going to copy the IP and paste the IP. See what happens. So we should see that those very tiny little HTML files that were there, that's what should come up. So I don't know how long it's supposed to take here. Well, let's click the other one too to just get it started, since it seems to be taking so long. Let's try the HTTP explicitly. Not working. Okay. Alright. Why is it not working? Open in browser window. Alright, let's try that. Let's allow pop-ups and try this again. Open in browser window. Alright, my timer did go off, so let me set a short break here Okay, so so it did allow me to go in here. So I had thought that I would actually see the HTML. Maybe I'm not supposed to see that. Maybe that's not how it was set up. It's not exactly clear. Alright, well, let me go back to the chat. I'm going to scroll up, make sure I don't miss any questions, and go through as many questions as I can in 5 minutes. Not really a lot of questions. So trying to find some. John asks if the Google Cloud platform is feasible for small apps. I've never tried out for small apps, but it seems like a lot of the pricing is based on usage. Excuse me. It's all based on usage, so it might be affordable. I never really tried to figure out how much it would be for something small, so I don't know if it would be cheaper to go with, you know, a different service that focuses more on small things. I don't know. Has anybody ever used it in that way? I mean, it seems like there's a lot more features than you would normally need for something small. So in terms of complexity, you know, there are definitely, you know, less complex ways of doing it. But in terms of cost, I'm not really sure what would be cheaper. It says, what language is more future-proof? I'm trying to figure out which language to learn first. Thanks. Oh, well, it's hard to tell the future, right? If you're going by trends, I mean, realistically, JavaScript has been gaining ground for a long time now. More and more things are being built with JavaScript that couldn't be built with JavaScript before. Right, like when I was in high school and just learning how to do websites, you couldn't do JavaScript on the server, right? That didn't exist. And what you could do with JavaScript was actually pretty limited. Now you can do a lot. I mean, you could do everything you wanted. Anything that you can do normally in a programming language, you could probably find a way to do it with JavaScript. So just the growth there makes me think that if that trend continues, it's going to be, you know, continue to be one of the main languages. But there are other languages that are so entrenched in a lot of big companies, in the code bases for these huge companies, that they're not going to go away anytime soon. So like, there's so much stuff built with Java, Python, PHP, like those big languages, like if they ever go away, it's going to take a long time. I mean, just consider, like, there are still companies that use COBOL, right? Which is an ancient, by computer standards, it's ancient. But you know, there are code bases out there that change infrequently, but they still need people to maintain them. So I wouldn't worry so much about your language not being around in the future, as long as you pick a language that is, you know, kind of one of the top languages, you're safe. If you go with some really obscure language that's not used very much right now, that could potentially die out and nobody will use it, right? So if you're, I think probably, like, what are the top like I mentioned, Java, JavaScript, Python, PHP. This is not in any particular order. Python, PHP. Those are your big ones. If I'm leaving one out, let me know. But I'm forgetting like C#. I mean, there is still even stuff done in C++, right? So, but I'm going to say this is my 5 that I'm going to say are probably going to be around for a long time. C#, Java, JavaScript, Python, PHP. If you pick any one of those, you probably don't have to worry about, you know, that language not being used anymore for a long time. So, I mean, as for smaller languages, there's a ton of small languages. I'm sure there's lots of small computer languages that aren't used that I've never even heard of. Right? I probably will never hear of them. And that's not necessarily a good thing if you're trying to get a job, right? So there's just not a lot of jobs out there. So anyway, I know starting out, that's like a huge question and a source of anxiety. Like, what should I pick? But it's always easier to learn your second computer language because you have the concepts down. So even if you decide later on you don't really like the one that you chose to learn, you know, don't worry about it too much. You can always switch. It'll be a little more work, but not quite as much work as learning it, you know, the first time. Alright, my timer's up, so we're going to do another Pomodoro session, and then I'll come back, and I see there's some more discussion going on there, so I'll check that out after I come back. So we'll probably just end up doing one more session, and then I'll do some more questions, and then we'll finish up for today. Oops, where am I at? Back here. Alright, well, now that I'm in here, let's just look around, see what we have. Okay, it looks like we're running Apache, right? Based on the code that the startup code, we're running Apache, so we should have, we're going to go into that. Whoops, this is probably really small. I'm sorry, everyone. Let me try to make this bigger. So this is all that I've done. I just backed out 2 directories from my default directory that I was in. So, and then I went into the var directory and then www, which is your default directory for serving websites in Apache. And so now I'm just listing. And that's our index.html file that I was thinking that we'd see if we actually went here. Whoops. So we can see, like, obviously things are there. There is stuff there. The stuff that we did worked. I guess we can verify that step did work if we go in. I'm assuming nano is here. Nano index, and yep, there it is. So there's that HTML that we had there. I'm gonna get out. I don't want to edit that. Okay, so that's there. I'm just gonna leave for now. Hopefully I don't need to go back in right away. Let's see. Alright, so now we need to make an IP address. So we're going to go to the external IP addresses page, which is there we go. External IP addresses, and let's reserve a static address, and the name, I'm just going with the name from the tutorial. We're going to go with the IPv4, and we want it to be global. Hopefully I don't get charged too much for all this. I'm going to cancel it all as soon as I'm done. And quick reserve. Hey, now's a great time to bring up my Patreon page. So if you'd like to help support my streams, check out my Patreon page and help me out when I do stuff like this, and just not sure how much I'm going to get charged for all this experimentation. All right. Let's create an instance group now. And where do I go for that? Let me see. Instance group. I'm going to create a new one. Just got a message from work. I need to answer this. Hold on one second. Okay. Alright, so we're going to create one. Let's set the name to resources, and we're going to set the zone to US Central 1B. I'm not really sure why we're picking that particular zone. The instructions here don't really say. So if you want to follow along and see the instructions yourself, click on that link that I put in the live chat a little earlier. We're going to set the group type to unmanaged instance group. And let's see, for VM instance, where are we on? Unmanaged. It says no available instances. Yeah, that must have been a mistake in the documentation, because obviously we didn't make instances in that particular zone. So let's set www, and so that's going to be our instance, and then we're going to create another instance group for our www dash video. Okay, create, and let's just go back and create another one, and this will be, let's call it video resources unmanaged, and let's add a video, create that. See. All right, cool. Those are finished. Alright, sorry, I lost my place. I was looking ahead and lost my place in the documentation. Now I'm back. Let's set up. We're going to set up a lot of stuff. So now we're going to name our load balancer. So let's go to our load balancing page. Where did we set that up at? Why is it? This is freezing up somewhat frequently. Alright, so I don't know where our load balancing page is. There we go. Load balancing. And load balancers, under HTTPS load balancing, click start configuration. Interesting. I'm not getting the same. Alright, maybe I'll click create. Okay, I had to click create first. That was the problem. HTTPS load balancing. Let's start. And let's name it web map. And backend, let's say create a backend service. Let's name it web map backend service. Alright, let's say. Alright, I'm just going to leave, since it'll be faster, I'm going to leave that as default. Instance group, www resources, port 80. Let's do health check. I never set up a health check. Alright, let's set up a basic health check. HTTP basic check, and I'll just leave everything default. Okay. Okay. Alright, so I think we're good. And we'll just repeat that for video. Video service. Do video resources and health check. Let's create the health check. So we don't use. All right, let's create that. Okay. Alright, let's go to host and path rules. And okay, so let's go with host, and then we're going to set our paths to video and video. There we go. Okay. Wonderful. Let's do front end and let's say HTTP content rule, and we're just going to do HTTP to save some time. Normally you'd want to go with HTTPS though. Alright, IP4. There we go. And good. IPv6. Let's go with HTTP content IPv6 rule. I thought earlier in the documentation we didn't do an IPv6. All right, and let's review and finalize and click create. I guess I have to wait till this is done. The good news is it seems like we're almost done. I'll check the chat while this little spinner is spinning. See, hey, Phoenix is here. How's it going? What? The specified IP address is in use and would result in a conflict. Invalid value for resource IP address. Huh. Okay then. Is it not gonna let me edit this? Oh, here we go. Edit. Well, everybody, I think I just failed. I think I just failed pretty bad. So I'm not sure I even remember where I put in that IP and how far back in the process that was. I mean, was that when we went to set up a static IP? Alright, so let me... I don't really have enough time to go back and fix that, so let me say that. Assuming that would have worked, we would go back to these original directions that we started at. You would, if you haven't already created a bucket, you'd create your bucket. And then you'd go back to the load balancing page. You'd go to the backend configuration. And I think you would just add your static bucket. You would add the backend for your static bucket, and for your host and path rules you would just add, so we had already added that path for video, we would do the same thing in there with static. And then we would just set up our addresses to get to that static bucket where we put in our external address. So the rest of the steps seem really simple and straightforward. So we went through the hardest part and we went through most of it. At some point though, I messed up, I suppose. So yeah, so I don't have time to fix that, and I'm not really sure. So IP address already in use. Okay, so yeah, I don't know what happened with that. But if you wanted to set up load balancing for your buckets so that you could use so you could have a static IP address that you could use and point in a record to that, so you'd have your custom domain. That's how you would do it. That's a lot of steps, so I guess it's something to consider. In my case, I think I'm not going to do it. I think I'm just going to stick with the URL that is the default that Google gives me. I don't think I don't really think it's worth me going through all these steps and paying all the extra money for all the extra setup just to be able to do that. If it happens at some point in the future that I find some reason why I should do it like that, then I will. And at least we've gone through it once and I know what's involved. But I mean, it was cool to go through and find out more of Google Cloud Platform, because there's still a lot of it that I've never even seen and never used. So that was kind of cool. Hopefully this was helpful to somebody out there to go through some of this. And I guess the last thing I'm going to do is make sure I'm not going to get billed for any of this. So where's my billing? Can I turn it off for this project? Test project, disable billing. Yep. There we go. And I do want to disable for this as well. And I'm going to leave that here for now, but at some point I need to move that onto the university account. Alright. Cool. So hopefully I don't get billed at all for that small amount that I used, but you never know. If I do get billed, it'll probably be very, very minimal, so I'm not too worried about it. Alright, I'm gonna now go to the live chat, and I'm sorry, I'm still trying to chat with my coworker here and figure this out. There's something going on with one of the links on the main website. We're trying to figure it out. Oh, okay. Alright, it looks like he found it, so that's good. Alright, let me, so if you have any questions right now, please put them in the chat now. I'm going to answer all the questions that I can. Okay, Sabin asks, are you hosting WordPress as well on Google Virtual Machine? No, I'm actually not. So I would like to host WordPress with Next, and that's a service from Zeit, which is the same company that makes Next.js. Oh, I'm sorry, I think I said that wrong. I want to host WordPress with Now, which is from the same company that does Next. Potentially we could host it on a VM as well. So right now I have it running on DigitalOcean, but so if for some reason it doesn't work out using Now, it'll probably just stay on DigitalOcean, but I'm pretty sure that it can work. I've successfully tested it. I just want to make sure that it works as well and as easy as I expect it to. Jacob says Google Cloud versus DigitalOcean. Sabin says I think DigitalOcean is more affordable, just my opinion. Honestly, for me, I'm not 100% sure about the price. I never really looked into it like that deeply, but DigitalOcean is easier, and in my opinion DigitalOcean is easier, although I've worked more with DigitalOcean, so it may just seem easier to me. Google Cloud just has so much stuff going on, it can be overwhelming. There's a lot, so that's good because potentially you can add in all these extra services as you grow, as your app grows, and they're all right there. So, I mean, there's a benefit to that complexity if you think that you'd need it later on. Nikki says, there's that rule from someone on Twitter. Every program that can be written in JavaScript will eventually be written in JavaScript. Yeah, I can't remember who said that originally, but I do hear that repeated from time to time. Mad Dutch is saying, I'm hearing loads of great things about DigitalOcean, and JavaScript is popping up everywhere for full stack everything. Yeah, for sure, for sure. I do like DigitalOcean. I've used it. I'm hosting a lot of stuff there right now, so I like it. And JavaScript, I mean, I've used I've done some workshops where we've used JavaScript to create Internet of Things stuff, which is just so cool, right? Made like a little car that you could control through, like, I don't remember if we did Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, but you could control it through your computer keyboard, right? It was cool, and it was a Node.js program that was running it. So I mean that's just cool. I've seen people on YouTube do machine learning with JavaScript. There's not an area right now where something's happening with programming that there's not a way to do it in JavaScript. That was a really confusing way to say it. Let me say it differently. So if there's something happening in the programming world right now, you can do it with JavaScript. I think that's a better way. It's a better way to do it. Is JavaScript always the best option? I don't know. Probably not. But is it an option? Yeah. Hey, I think this is our guest. That was cool. I saw you over there. So, all right. So I am on YouTube. Let's expand this screen a bit, and I'm gonna show more of the screen if it'll let me.
Is that your camera? The glow, the light?
Yeah, that's the camera. And I need to change my settings real quick. I have my camera zoomed in, so I'm gonna change it a bit so it's just a little bit filters, a little bit wider.
Oh, hello world.
So I'm gonna zoom it all the way out.
This looks so terrible.
Alright. Alright, cool. This works. This works. Alright, cool. Do you want to say hi?
Hello, YouTube world.
Alright, so hopefully you'll be helping me with some of the data and
Sure.
stuff. So I just happened to run into her in the office kitchen, and we started talking about websites. And so she has some experience with websites. So she was a student here, took a web design course, and also had a job where she was stuck trying to make the best of a terrible website. So as she was telling me all of her experience with this website, I was like, wow, you're already a web developer. Like, this is what we deal with, right? Like, we have problems and we figure out how to solve the problems. And so she was saying that she's looking for a job, and so I said, hey, I'm offering a job. So yeah, so we got to work out the details, but hopefully she'll be helping out. So you might see her on a future stream if you want. If that's cool.
Sure, I'm cool with anything.
All right, cool. So at this point in the show, I was just doing some question and answer. Is
Okay.
that cool?
Yeah.
All right. So this is the last thing I do. So after this, we'll be done, and then I can show you some other stuff.
Okay.
All right. So I lost my place. Let me find it.
Sorry.
Okay, so Nikki, that quote that we just said about everything that can be programmed in JavaScript will eventually be programmed in JavaScript, it was from the co-founder of Stack Exchange. So thanks for that, Nikki. And all right, Sabin says Linode also offers a cheap virtual machine, but I prefer DigitalOcean. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I've done some stuff with Linode, but only like I've inherited Linode-based sites, so I haven't really done anything like from scratch. John Hansen says, I thought Firebase Firestore was free. Maybe free as in Google Maps API. Yeah, a lot of Google stuff has like a free tier that's limited. It's good for testing things and maybe doing like I don't know, small projects, small apps. So I'm assuming it's like that for Firebase as well. Mad Duchess says Heroku has a free package. Yeah, I think they do too. I need to check into Heroku because one of the conferences I was at, I got like a card that with a code on it that I could use to get a bunch of free free Dino minutes or hours on Heroku. Michael says, so for some context, in case you weren't watching, earlier when I was setting everything up with the Google Cloud platform, I said I'm not sure how much they're going to charge me for this because we were just experimenting, and Michael says, I don't think I've used the phrase, I'm not sure how much I'm going to get charged for this experimentation since I went to Mardi Gras in New Orleans. So hopefully you didn't get charged too much for that, Michael. I've never been to Mardi Gras. That would be cool. And I'm hoping I don't get charged too much either. I just resized my font. Now I'm lost again on the live chat. Okay, cool. I found it. Martin asks, does serverless architecture mean using pre-built APIs like Firebase, or does it mean something totally different? I mean, you can do, there's a lot of different options, but like essentially serverless, this is not an official definition, but like you're always going to have a server. It's just, is that going to be your server or somebody else's, and are you going to maintain that server? So serverless is going to allow you to just like send off your code, have it run. You don't have to worry about any server maintenance at all. So however you set that up, you know, it depends. It depends on what you're doing. What is it? AWS has Lambda, I think. I'm not sure what the equivalent is called in Google or Microsoft Azure, but I don't know. That's my take on serverless, though. And Nikki and Michael are talking about Lil Wayne songs or Lil Jon songs, so don't know what's going on that side conversation. John says, I need some of what Jesse's drinking, mind altering in order to heavily focus energy. Okay, so I was just drinking water during the stream, but I did have G Fuel beforehand. So once again, if anybody from G Fuel is watching, I'm open for sponsorship. We gotta get that G Fuel sponsorship. Even if you just send me some G Fuel every month, I'd be happy with that. Jacob says, Ola from Steubenville, Ohio. Jacob, are you in Steubenville right now? Let me know. Oh, Nikki said, so at the end, whenever my IP address wouldn't work and it completely failed, Nikki had an idea that I would open that terminal session, and I may not have ever closed it. I closed the window, but I didn't like exit it from the terminal, so that could have been the cause of the error. So that's a good idea. I didn't even think of that at all. Powell says, how often do you record live coding? I try to do 5 days a week, but oftentimes I don't get 5 days a week just because of meetings and things. So I mean, usually it ends up being more like three days a week. Worlds asks if DigitalOcean is easy to use and easy to see costs. Yeah, for sure. The pricing on DigitalOcean is really upfront. Totally easy to figure out what your costs are going to be. Michael says, what main package would you need to do machine learning with JS? I can't remember what it's called. I mean, there's more than one. What it's called? I can't remember. Check out, what channel is it? LearnCode.academy is the channel. Will Stern does that YouTube channel. One of his recent videos, I think his last 2 videos that he put out, was doing machine learning with JavaScript. So check those videos out. They're pretty short. I think maybe 10 minutes each or so. That'll give you at least one way to do it. And if you can't find that channel, go to my YouTube channel. The link's in the description, and I link to his channel from my homepage. Oh, okay. Nikki says there's a TensorFlow.js now. Okay, cool. So check out TensorFlow. That's not the one that Will Stern was using in his videos, but TensorFlow is really well known. So if they have a JavaScript library now, I'm assuming that it's pretty good. Oh, you never mentioned your name. Do you want to know your name?
Sure. I'm sorry, guys. My name is Haley.
Alright, so...
No I.
No I. So just a Y.
No Y either. It's just Haley.
Haley.
Super basic.
Alright, cool. So Haley, so you could say, John Murphy says, future show, live coding with Jesse and Haley. So... Sorry, I didn't introduce you. It's
okay. I never been on a stream before, guys, so sorry. I'm not used to it.
Jamala says, give me free Google credit. Can I do that? Do they have a referrer program? If anyone, I do have referral codes for several other things, so like if anybody's interested, I could give you my referral codes for stuff, so that, you know, usually you end up getting something free. Alright, looks like I'm down to the last question. So unless somebody puts a question in there in the next minute, we'll finish things up. So World says, have you ever had issues in React with sizing several components to fit the viewport? I've wrapped them, but the bottom component never fits. I don't know. It's kind of hard to say. Worlds, if you have the code on GitHub, let me know. You could send me a DM on Twitter, and I could check it out more. I'd kind of have to see the code, because I'm assuming that that's more of a CSS issue and not necessarily a React issue. So I could probably check it out though, and give you at least point you in the right direction. Mad Duchess says to build a blog or a site to advertise your affiliate links. I've been thinking about doing that. My personal website is so old, I haven't updated it in years. Like, I don't know, like 3 or 4 years. So I need to just change it and put my links on there and update it with stuff that I've actually done within the last 3 years. But I think that's a good idea. John Murphy says, do you use SSH keys or just password for root? On DigitalOcean, I always use SSH keys. I usually try to disable root user and disable passwords completely. Just go with SSH. That's a lot more secure. Although I do make sure I have more than one computer that has SSH keys for it. Michael says she knows how to do product placement. Yeah.
I hope you can. They wanted to know what I was drinking.
Mist Twist. I mean, I've never even heard of that.
It's the Big K brand, which I wouldn't be drinking, but it was the only kind my sister had when I visited her earlier today.
You could try to get a sponsorship for that.
Coca-Cola sponsorship. That's what we want.
We want a Coca-Cola sponsorship?
That's what I should be drinking.
Nino asks, well, right when I said we're at the last question, everybody started asking questions. All right, so Nino says, I learned JavaScript, React, Redux. What is next? I would say what is next is build some awesome stuff. You definitely know. I mean, maybe learn some GraphQL so that you can pull some data into your React applications. If you want to move into backend stuff, then learn some Node. I mean, otherwise, I mean, if you know JavaScript, React, and Redux, you're definitely in a good position to make some awesome things. Mad Duchess says it's okay, haven't even built mine. Yeah, I'm terrible about working on my own website. Alright, I'm officially at the end of the chat now. So, thank you all so much for watching. Sorry I didn't get what we were working on to work. Almost. We were so close. If anybody gets it to work, let me know. If you try to do this on your own, I'd like to know, like, does it work? Is it awesome? Yeah, so I should be back tomorrow. Let's see, I have meetings in the morning tomorrow, so it'll probably be another afternoon stream. I'll be back in the office. Yeah, so anyway, thanks again, and until tomorrow, have a great day.
Bye, guys.